You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
And we are back for the finals of the Eternal Tournament Series 2018 Season 2 Week 2 Open. I am Rhino, and with me is my slightly, just maybe mildly excited co-host, Ilyon.
How are you doing, Ilyon? My giddiness. I'm so pumped for this. I want this headgear deck to win so badly. We're already seeing a little bit of their hand right now, so they've already done some mulligans, play a little bit. We've got Wallow here holding for us. And this deck is just so sweet. I think it was a great metagame choice. Like, a lot of people will look at it and go like, oh, this is a joke deck, and it's just making it here. But I think this was actually a really smart metagame choice in a lot of ways. It goes over the top of all the mid-range lists, and I mean, it might not be the most consistent list, but it's done well enough here. I think that we had it win yesterday in the Casual Friday tournament, and it's doing well here. I think that this has more legs than what people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, I think people are being really quick to point to like, oh, it's just doing silly, dumb things because of Crown and Sunken, but that's kind of because the metagame right now affords you to do that.
Yeah, exactly. The metagame is like wide open for silly, dumb things, and I'm excited for silly, dumb things, so let's do more of them.
Yeah, 4 camels in the finals. I mean, I'm just giddy. Let's get this underway. We don't need to break down this matchup too much. On the other side is Archon. Nobody cares, right? that also ran right in the annals of history.
The Archon Port deck is an absolute house here. I mean, it is the deck to take down. I think that it was a lot better for top 8 in this headgear deck. Their list is a lot more tuned against something like the Moment deck. And so I imagine they're not nearly as excited to see this Archon Port list, which can just run them over. And I mean, Archon Port's got a pretty good draw here, a little clunky with all the depleted power, but a lot of early game. And top 8's not doing a whole lot here yet.
Yeah, top 8 choosing to go with Camel before Wisdom, despite lacking, any great follow-up plays to it. Just going to pad the life totals and needs to find some action real quick because the rest of the hand is just power.
That Mask is a good draw, though. If they don't answer to Camel, which I don't think they will, we're going to see Mask come down and start getting them a lot of power.
Yeah, but also kind of punished in a way for playing Camel instead of Wisdom, right? If they had Wisdom last turn, they would have been able to mask this turn, and then next turn could have done Camel strategize and gone off. So
yes, absolutely.
Those early turn plays can have these cascading effects throughout the rest of the game, and I think we might see that happen here as Wallow gets to take out the Scribe and get another Warcry unit down. And yeah, the Camel can bounce off of them, although not when they have Deadly.
Not these ones, actually. These ones are more of a problem. So we're going to see... I mean, they do get a Vara's Favor here, which can continue to pump up the power. They really just need to find some gas, though.
Runehammer is the draw for Wallow, and that is insane. Yeah,
I think you do, right? Because, I mean, knowing that Mask is there, you just got to go for it.
They go for Enforcer instead and build the board that way. I mean, either way, top 8 doesn't have much interaction, so they just chose to get the flying threat down rather than the weapon threat, save the weapon for something else since they're a little light on removal, although Valkyrie Enforcer is pretty effective removal anyways. It's just this Camel as an 0-3 silence isn't ever blocking anything anyways.
So we're going to see a Theurge come down here, and Dark Return was a good draw for them because we know this Theurge is almost certainly eating a hammer to the face immediately. They're going to get a lot of power. That hammer being Warcried is super important right now with this Vara's Favor sitting in hand. Yeah,
they're not. Top 8 will not have a clean way to deal with this hammer. It will almost certainly get a 2-for-1 because Vara's Favor can't take it out, like you said.
And this Warcry is just really starting to snowball out of control for top 8, who just doesn't have like a good board sweeper or way to really claw back in these kinds of games without just drawing like a really, really lucky Black Sky Harbinger or something to kind of go off.
Yeah, there's no hailstorms to fear or things like that. It is just Harbingers and Yeti Pults that are used to try and clean up the mess on the board, and I don't think they're going to be able to get the job done the way this game's going.
No, this is quickly becoming a mess that's well out of top eight's range. So it's going to be a tough one here for them. They do have a lot of life though to work with. Something to remember. And they're opting not to play the devoted theurge here, which I think is the correct thing.
Yep, but Wallow just drew another Auric Roothammer with 4 War Cries.
Oh no! No, I missed that. Oh.
That's really going to make things tough for top 8 here. The Wallow's only playing a pair of Runehammers, and they are certainly making their presence felt in this first game. There's a Katra can combine with Thurge to do a little bit here. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though.
No, that does help a fair bit because now the hammer kind of has to go for Katra instead. But, I mean, they're not able to pump the Theurge out of the way of the hammer, right? And you even have, well, they can't kill both.
Maybe you don't hammer. Maybe you just Valkyrie Enforcer and stick to the skies and get another threat down. But using your most expensive cards to interact with maybe makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I think that, which one of them do you kill? I think that you had to kill the Katra, right?
Katra is potentially very scary, but top 8 only has 2 cards left in hand, whereas Thurge can actually get bigger, like bigger than Traitor, pump up the mask even more, things like that. It might be correct to just hit Thurge here and accept that Katra could potentially make a very large Temple Scribe and Camel next turn, but it's unlikely.
I think that I would hit the Katra personally.
It's a scary card. I would not believe you for that.
I'm just worried that like the Theurge I'm not as worried about simply because of the fact that you still have the hammer. They're not going to be able to knock the hammer off almost for sure. And you will be able to eat the Theurge. They don't have enough power yet to pump it out of the way of what is that, an 8/5 hammer?
Yeah.
So that's not going to be. They can pump it up a bit, but not enough.
Let's see, and your Traitor's going to switch to a 3/5. So if you don't hammer Thurge though, the Thurge would be able to swing at your hammer.
Yeah, right? Now that you attack with everything, it's much dicier. I think that I might have held back a Rip Knife Assassin just for that specific moment.
Right. Yeah, because now you can swing with Thurge, and they either have to chump block with Traitor, or they take out the hammer. And there's a Sunken Tower. So this is a spicy one. 3-cost relic that you once per turn you may pay 5 to play a copy of one of your units. So if you have a massively buffed up Thurge, you can play a copy of that. Now it gives it Reckless, and the unit that you copied also gets Reckless, and you can't keep copying units with Reckless. So you can't just go crazy with devoted Thurges, but yeah, pretty sweet little tech that you can use to go over the top in grinding matchups. Not really at its best in this matchup, as Thurge connects and takes out the Auric Runehammer.
Yeah, opting not to power it up yet.
There's another Katra.
And there's another Katra.
Wow. And you can
play it, and yeah, that's definitely the play, right? Like you Katra and immediately pump.
What do you bottom here? Because strategize
Sunken Tower, I think.
Oh no, they go and get rid of the Vera's favor.
Yep.
Top 8's at 12 health.
They make sense to get rid of the Vera's favor too. Sunken Tower is very powerful. Being able to make like a second layer could be.
Wallow's 1 off lethal.
Yeah. 11 damage coming in.
But top 8 will be able to gain a pretty good amount of health here. I don't think it'll be enough to get him out of lethal range though.
Not even close, no.
Because let's see, you can gain 4 from duplicating your Thurge, and then like 2 more. So you're only getting like 6. Yeah, it's not enough.
Yeah, you're not quite getting there.
So it looks like Wallow has this, unless they make some bad blocks here when top 8 tries to crack in with whatever they develop. It is of note, if you had gotten Sunken Tower going, on the 3rd use you sacrifice it and stun all units, not just enemy units. It's all units. It's super bizarre. Sunken Tower is such a weird card.
It's such a weird card. I've played decks that use things like Mysterium Orb to give endurance to all your units so that it helps against the stun. But yeah, I mean it's It's wild because it stuns everything, and pretty big downside. Yeah, we're gonna see Vara's favor right now, and then gain more life. I mean, they go to 7, but that's still just showing that they die on board.
Yeah, and there's the A space.
This is just easy enough for Wallow to navigate. It's on board. They know that there's no power here, and they can just take it easy, know that the win is in the bag.
So yeah, this game, just too many war cries early on. Top 8 couldn't get in the way of dealing with them and just produce some really, really, really big hammers. He needed a Harbinger to try and take over the skies, but even then, Wallow was wise enough to keep holding on to a Valkyrie Enforcer to keep control of the skies, even if that happened. So well played by
special
Wallow.
Assurance.
And we get another game before we go to sideboards here. As I do want to note, there's 4 Hailstorm in top 8 sideboards. So keep that in mind as we go to game 3 then.
Those are definitely going to be coming in. It's got to be a key piece of top 8 strategy against all of these early Riptide Assassin or Ripknife Assassins, because man, that card is just ripping through the competition right now.
But yeah, that card has been so good. Whether it's in Xenon, Argent Port, I'm sure you could figure it out in Stone Scar and whatever else you want to figure out too. Like that card is just good early and good late. I don't know what more you could want from a 2-drop, although top 8 needs some fixing here and is going to go digging for it.
And unfortunately not finding it. They're really looking for some time right now. They're going to be able to get the primal for Wisdom of the Elders, which is certainly useful, but not good enough yet. So we'll see how that works out for them. Wallow's hand is not really aggressive either, though, so they do get a little bit of breathing room here. Not having to face down like a Ripknife Assassin or a Crownwatch Paladin has to feel pretty good.
Yep, so top 8 finds another source of depleted power. Vara's favors will turn them into undepleted power going forward at least, but won't be able to cast Wisdom this turn and really dig for the tools they need to try and stabilize, as Wallow only has 3 power, but has a lot of threats that they can play off of it.
Yes, yeah. Now that they're at 3, there's going to be some threats hitting the board. Starting off with the Unseen Commando, and I imagine that they're going to hope for Crown Watch to come down next turn, or they might just go Sabotage if they can get an undepleted power.
And there we go. The Camel is down. Top 8 drew the time source for the turn. And that's a pretty tasty silence target. So Wallow might go with that, especially now with the undepleted power. You can Sabo away that Wisdom, and that's huge.
Yeah, excellent draw here from Wallow. So, I mean, top 8 setting up to get this Wisdom, get them a little bit of breathing room, some life. But Sabotage and I'm assuming the Valkyrie Enforcer are just going to nix that. I mean, we might see an Auric Interrogator. No. We are going to see the Enforcer. I think that's the right way to do it.
Yep, and there's a mask.
So there's a mask. Mask really changes this matchup because you can go off onto it.
Too late though. We'll see. Like next turn, top 8 will be able to trigger it at least once with Vara's favor, but in the meantime, it's just getting ruthlessly beaten down in the skies by all these flyers, and now a Crown Watch trader will join their ranks.
Yeah, imagine, you were talking about it before. We said it. With those hailstorms coming in out of the side, do you think that they might want it in the matchup like this, looking at this board?
Oh, yeah.
Possibly it makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. So top 8's going to generate a whole lot of power here. We'll have access to at least 11 power next turn, which will let you play and activate Yeti Pult, but doesn't do you a lot of good if you're dead.
I mean, go to 11. They're going to take... And that Sabotage is not going to hit anything, and then we're going to hit another Crown Watch. So you're taking, I mean, a lot of damage on the ground. You're just not going to be able to live here.
Yeah, stacking Yeti Pults is sweet, but it still won't be enough to kill anything. And if you play and activate a Pult, you won't have it to block. Although even if you had it available to block, you'd still die. So yeah, here we see double Pult into double chump.
Yeah, just chump blocking, which is just, I don't know what you're hoping to draw at that point. I mean, I guess you're just clinging on because you can, but it's not going to change anything here, unfortunately, for top 8, who is going to go down 2-0 in these opening rounds. But we'll see how the sideboarding works out.
Yeah, we shall see.
Another power card that for sure seals the deal for top 8. No Hail Mary saving graces here. We're not going to get a miracle Black Sky Harbinger or something.
No, so now it's time for sideboards, and yeah, top 8 is in the hole 0-2 down against Wallow's Argent Port mid-range. And yeah, the 4 hailstorms are coming in. The 3 banish are almost certainly coming in. Got to respect this aggro. So what comes out? Sunken Tower, Crown, what else?
Yeah, I'm honestly wondering, do you think that this is where In Cold Blood comes in?
It can. It's
as well. Like we might see that too.
More removal. I mean, 4 hailstorm, 3 banish hits a lot of things. In Cold Blood though hits Tavrod, and if you're worried about that, you can.
I'm wondering if they just don't take out. I wonder if they just don't put in all the banishes and maybe put in Cold Bloods or puts in all of them. I think that you've got to take out some of the clunkier late game cards here, though. Maybe like some number of channel. I would guess that you take out the Yeti Pulse because there's less things to clear out. Black Sky Harbinger can still do it. I don't know because it is your card draw as well. Luminar Claimer can probably go because you don't actually need to have the super late game here.
Yeah.
And Sunken Tower as well. Like you want late game, but you can beat them with like moderate late game instead of the absolutely absurd late game that this deck can have.
Yeah, if you're looking to bring in Banish, Hailstorm, and In Cold Blood, that's 9 cards that you have to make room for. So yeah, you're cutting your 2 Crown, your 1 Sunken, your 1 Luminar Claimer. Like those are your all late game over the top cards. So that's 4 down. Yeah, maybe the Pulse, a Channel, or Talir. Talir could go, maybe.
Did you take out any Dark Returns, maybe?
It seems pretty nice in terms of building your redundancies, but it gets a little worse without Crown. Like it mostly just gets used to bring back Temple Scribes anyways. Yeah, I could see that getting going to the wayside as well, as it is kind of a late game card that requires a bit more setup than even something like Channel the Tempest would.
Yeah, so you might have something like that happen here. So I imagine that we're going to see a lot of removal sideboarded in, if not all of it. In Cold Blood is pretty solid against, like we said, Tavrod, or just, permanently removing like really problematic cards like Crown Watch Trader.
Sure. Yeah, I think in this game, in this matchup, the strip the other copies isn't as important. Like you're just against a mid-range deck with a billion threats. But it's also not nothing. Sure. It's more just a Death Strike with slight upside. Occasionally can be a 2-for-1, and when it is a 2-for-1, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, you just kind of need as much removal as you can, though, to hang on long enough that you can get yourself set up. So you might just want to have to put all of them in. I'm not entirely certain that that's what they go for here, but we'll see what they sideboard in a little while. What do we think that Argent Port is going to change? Anything?
If they're going to bring in a lot more removal, I think the sabotage count gets bumped up to 4 possibly. Not sure though how much else you change. You need to keep your threat count really high. And the weapons seem to do pretty good damage, at least the Inquisitor's Blade and Bloodletter is just so core to the deck. I don't, this is a really tight list. There's ways to tweak it and adjust it, but I don't think we're going to see, say, Mokto come in and you're going to slow your game plan down. I think you're going to stick to the low curve beatdown plan and just augment that as much as possible.
Yeah, you definitely don't need more late game against this deck. You're not going to out late game Crown Mask, Devoted Theurge kind of combo list here. You're going to have to really rely on getting those early beats and pressure and stopping them from setting up. And we've got the game starting here. A lot of clunky power off the start from top 8, but some good card draw and lots of scout. So decent starting hand.
Yeah, and on the other end, Wallow somehow doesn't have a 2-drop on turn 2. They
doesn't even have a 3-drop either.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll top deck that here at the very least, the way they've been running. But and that's just a testament to how Argent Port's built, right? You just hit your stuff on curve. Hey, it's a 3-drop.
It's a 3-drop. It doesn't do anything. I mean, this is a lot of breathing room for top 8 to start setting up, honestly.
But they still somehow don't get to cast Wisdom here, but they'll be able to strategize. Going to use the Crest first, though. Sees a Camel.
I mean, do they strategize or do they Temple Scribe? They're going to go for the strategize.
And finds another Camel anyway. So now do you start tossing power? You're only on... Well, you have 5 plus the favor.
Vara's favor, maybe.
No, there goes the Crest. So planning on doing the Vara's favor plus Seat plus Temple Scribe play next turn, most likely. Yeah. Or play one of your 3 drops here, like Banish for the Crown Watch Trader if you so desire.
Yeah, banishing the Crown Watch Trader seems like a pretty solid play at this point.
So Wallow does have 1 protect in the sideboard that could punish you for slow rolling Banish here. But I'm okay with taking it slow. And
I would risk it.
Yeah, no. If you think they're not going to buff up the Crown Watch Trader and you want to just get Wisdom out of the way here, you could have done that. And I think I would have been fine. But they're playing it safe using the Banish right up front.
And that's a fair enough play. I think I would have been a little greedier. You're not running this list if you're trying to be conservative. So, I mean, I think that you just got to be as greedy as possible. But it's a respectable play. We've got Vara's favor and Camel, I guess, is going to be the plan.
Could go Camel, could go Wisdom, could go Temple Scribe, even though it's not the best use of your power. It can actually trade with Crown Watch Paladin. So if they have a weapon, you can force them to put the weapon on the Paladin rather than their Interrogator. But it's Camel. Camel is the play. And
I think I like that. You got to kind of start setting up here. Valkyrie Enforcer. Oh, man. Just key draws here to silence pieces when they need it. Although they're going to go for the Blade.
Yep, Flying Interrogator while top 8 is tapped out. And that's going to push a lot of damage and fill up Wallow's hand with even more action, although Seed of Vengeance is not the most exciting action out there.
No. Black Sky Harbinger is pretty solid at this point. That's a really good draw. Yeah, and we're going to see Devoted Fears come down.
Yep, gaining up that life, but they still have this problematic Interrogator, but now at least has more answers lurking in the deck for it at some point. And Wallow's got to decide what to do as their follow-up here. Are they silencing something? Are they getting down Trader? Yeah, it's the big old Trader comes down. And
yeah, I think they just want to apply as much pressure as possible. You don't need to silence the Theurge yet because you don't see a mask. Theurge is scary, but it's like a lot less scary when they're not masking. It's good to hold on to it in case they get a Katra, because Katra is a hard card for this deck to answer, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm interested to see if like top 8 holds on to the Seek power because it's such a cheap enabler for triggering Life Force from Camel, but no, they just want to keep hitting power. They're playing Channel the Tempest, probably even post board, and they just want to keep curving with all this card draw in hand.
When we get a Bloodletter, is that going to just go on to the Crown Watch, or are we just seeing? I mean, I
just
feel
maximize
like
the air clock.
Yeah, that's probably onto the Crown Watch.
Yep, spread out those threats, make it that much harder to block, and also gain you a whole lot of health here.
Yep, that's not really something that I think top 8 is super concerned about, though. Wallow's life total is actually pretty irrelevant, at least as far as like going up goes. Like, you're not going to be. It's a deck where when it starts to win, it's going to win in such an overwhelming fashion that there's really not going to be any life total that'll protect Wallow.
Yeah, the other big thing here is by equipping Crown Watch Trader, it's also a much better blocker, right? It's blocking as a 7/5 rather than a 3/5. So this Devoted Theurge isn't going to put on much counter pressure. In the meantime, this Orc Interrogator is just doing an insane amount of work. Look at all the gas that Wallow has in hand. A Vanquish from the last draw trigger into a Valkyrie Enforcer this turn. And it's tough for top 8 to keep up even with all these draw 2 spells.
Yeah, it's really getting buried by card advantage here. It's funny that despite all of that and despite the pressure that's coming down to top 8 here, it's still at 21 life. Like, it's not over.
Make that 25.
Yeah, make it more. But it's not totally done yet. They're in a tough position, but they can definitely come out of it. Just really depends on getting some good draws. Hitting double power there was certainly not what they wanted to see, but we'll see what else they can get.
Just getting to a point now where I think Wallow might just have too many things that top 8 has to deal with, and they won't be able to find a way to draw into answers for all of it, right?
Yeah, they needed an answer for the That interrogator just being unanswered for too long was a big problem.
Yeah.
It's just so much raw card advantage here as we're seeing, 55 cards to 52. Even with all of the extra card draw, all the Seek powers and everything, top 8 only 3 cards up on Wallow. That just shows how many you've gotten off of this Orc Interrogator.
Yep,
and now another Vanquish coming down.
Vanquish will hit this
pretty much seals the deal.
Yeah, just too many cards. Wallow's just been like, this Argent board deck has just been playing and drawing so well, right? It's hitting that sweet spot where you draw about 6 to 7 power and almost no more. And as you said, they're 20 cards deep in their deck, only a couple draw steps behind top 8 in this game, and top 8's played a bunch of Wisdoms and Strategizes. So just Interrogator doing too much work in this game, and Valkyrie Enforcer's being Valkyrie Enforcer.
Yeah, I mean, part of this is that I think that the headgear deck is definitely a little bit clunkier against this more tuned Argenport list. But and it wasn't really what it was meant to metagame against. Like, I feel like this list is really meant to take advantage of like Moment of Creation, more of those mid-range kind of lists. Oh yeah, and we'll see the end of the game here as top 8 concedes. So a clean sweep by Argenport. But I also think that like Wallow has drawn really, really well. Like, played tight and drawn just insanely well.
And that's what it takes to win a tournament. You know, we're not saying, oh, Wallow drew well as a way to put them down. Like, that is part and parcel of what you need to do to take down a tournament. The key is, even when you're drawing what you need, you're using it correctly, you're playing it well, you've made good deck building decisions, good sideboarding decisions. And from what I saw from Wallow today, they just played well every time, and every decision they made, I think we were both in agreement with for the most part.
Yeah, they made a lot of really good plays. There wasn't anything that was like, if there were mistakes, nothing was a glaring mistake by any means. They did a really good job of just, doing exactly what they needed, playing really solid, and they had decent enough draws to back it up. You can't draw poorly and win a tournament. And they didn't draw poorly, but they also did not play poorly at all. Like, they did a really good job of playing in every single match. Every time that we saw them on screen, they were doing exactly what they needed to do and just, running over opponents.
Yep. So Argenport, not a huge representation in the top 8 compared to its representation in the tournament at large, but still doing what it does, taking down this week's ETS. Congrats to Wallow, and of course, a huge shout out to top 8 as well for showing off a sweet new deck and doing well with it. There's no shame in getting second place in a tournament this large. Yeah,
no, not at all. I mean, like I said, people that are saying that the deck is kind of a joke, I would think that it was actually pretty well metagamed. And I would say that, sure, maybe a little bit of luck plays into that as well. Luck is always something that's going to play into tournaments, but it went consistently enough to go all the way to the finals. That speaks to at least there being some kind of an idea behind that. And I think there was a really interesting list.
Mm-hmm. So with that all being said, we'll take this tournament to a close. And of course, as always, to join us in the booth to help us do that is the world's greatest, bestest, most amazing tournament organizer, Rick Henner. How you doing, Rick Henner?
Doing good, Rhino. Thank you. So hello, everyone. This is Rick Henner, your tournament organizer here, as Rhino just said. I would like to congratulate both top 8 and Wallow Taja, I believe that's how the name is pronounced, for making it to the finals. And a special congratulations to Wallow for guaranteeing their place in the Invitational coming up in the beginning of June, the Season 2 Invitational. Next, I would like to thank all of our players and all of our viewers. If it wasn't for all of you, we couldn't be doing this. Putting this tournament and stream on every week is a blast. I'd also like to thank Miller Tool and Teehee, our producers. Without them, we could not be putting on this broadcast, quite literally. They've done a ton of work on the back end, improving our broadcasts over the last year and a half, and our, amazing behind-the-scenes workhorses, just coming in every week and doing a fantastic job. I'd also like to thank our graphics and code contributors who make our jobs much easier, specifically Mengar for his deck image creation tool, and our video editor, X Kirby, for his weekly highlights that hopefully he'll be getting back to soon. also like to thank aReNGee himself. He's the founder of the site, the original tournament organizer, and the person responsible for a lot of behind-the-scenes work and coming up with a lot of great new ideas for tournaments and tournament formats. And a quick shout out to Xenorath, our new TO, who is at the moment out of the country, but will be back next week. And he's been helping aReNGee run Team League. We'll be helping aReNGee run the upcoming Team Draft tournament. And generally speaking, helps us out during the ETS. And a huge thank you to our Twitch subs and Patreon backers. They make it possible for us to have our prize pools at the events. None of this would be possible without all of you. Quick shout out to G-Pace, who subbed today with Twitch Prime. Our $20 Patreon backers are Chuck Hurst, Andre Pokai, Seek Power Gaming, Frosty HS, Carell, Team Rank Star. We usually have a handful of Team Rank Star members playing in any given ETS event. David Anderson, Eric Gosnell, Ryan Williams, and a quick shout out to Why Not, aka you and me and your best friend in Twitch chat, or gifting a handful of subs. You can find our Patreon at www.patreon.com/RNG Eternal. And finally, thank you to our casters. Sir Rhino, an old hand experienced in the booth, and Ilyon, a new trial caster who came on today to try out to be one of our new casters for the ETS. Sir Rhino, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, what is there to say at this point? I am Sir Rhino. I like to play Eternal. I like to talk about Eternal, and I occasionally like to stream Eternal, although it's been a bit more occasionally as of late, as just life has gotten a bit busier. It's been tough to get on stream and get going. But I do have a Twitch stream. You can check it out, Sir_Rhino. And of course, it's always a pleasure to be here in the booth on weekends in the ETS. It's just great to see all the players come out and still show their passion for this wonderful game. It's also fun to sometimes play sealed, but best of 3 is pretty good too. So, of course, thank you for sticking with me, letting me moonlight as a caster. And I look forward to whenever it is the next time I'll be in the booth again.
Indeed. Thank you, Rhino. And Ilyon, how about you?
Well, I mean, this is an absolute blast to do this. I'm really glad that I was in on this one because I love brewing different decks. So Top 8's deck really tickled me. This was a very fun tournament for sure. We had a lot of new things coming in, like the FTP moment was certainly making a strong showing in the top 8, and top 8 made a strong showing in the top 8. So we had some fun things. I do a lot of streaming. I stream Eternal 3 or 4 days a week. So that's at Ilyon with an underscore at the end because I cannot get the original one. But I've been doing that for a while, and I do a lot of YouTube content. So you might know me from that as well. So I do a bunch of different deck techs and brews and weirdness on my own YouTube channel as well. So I'm hoping that I come back here again. This was an absolute blast. Sir Rhino is a wonderful caster to be across from, and this was just a great day. So thank you very much for having me, Rick Henner.
Indeed. Thank you. And yeah, as a longtime watcher of both of their streams, I can heartily recommend checking them out. Sir Rhino's been streaming Eternal since basically the dawn of history. He's one of the bigger names, but Ilyon's been streaming for a long time as well. He's not quite as well known, but he really should be.
No, I'm not quite as well known. I've only been streaming for 6 years.
Well, in the Eternal scene anyway.
In Eternal, yeah. In Eternal, I'm a little, not as much. Sure.
Exactly. But all right. So remember, everyone, if you want to play in the ETS, it is free and open registration. Full registration details at rngeternal.com and in the Eternal Discord server, which can be found at discord.gg/eternal, in the tournament info channel. And a quick heads up, there is going to be a team draft tournament taking place on the 28th, the weekend of the 28th. We have not specifically decided, I believe, if it's going to be on Saturday or Sunday. But that is the off week for the ETS, the break week. But the registration deadline is actually coming up on the 15th. When we say team draft, we don't mean drafting cards. We mean drafting players. Players will sign up. We will choose team captains. And teams of 5 players will be drafted. And they will build decks. There's a little bit of deck building restriction there. And then the actual tournament event will be a Swiss event. All the teams will play off. all of the players and all the teams will play off against each other in best of 3. So it'll be the team that wins the most, so best of 5, will win the match, and it'll play out just like a normal Swiss, but with teams instead of individual players. So if that sounds interesting to you, a way to meet new players, a way to interact with other people who are, well-known players, well-known deck builders, well-known brewers. Or if you are one of those well-known brewers and you want to strut your stuff, well, come on out. Like I said, the registration deadline is on the, I think I said 15th. Sorry, it's the 12th. But yeah, check out the information for that. It is the front page article on aReNGeeternal.com, and of course, information in the tournament info channel. All right, that is wrapping it up for tonight's stream. A quick rundown of our schedule. Of course, we have the ETS on Saturday. Starts at noon on Saturday. We have on Monday, best of 3, our tournament recap show with me, aReNGee, and usually a guest interview with usually the winner of the last ETS. Sometimes it's a different tournament winner. Sometimes it's a top 8 player if we cannot put together an interview with the winner. And then on Tuesday and Thursday nights, we have Lights Out Ace. And he also streams on Sunday in about the late afternoonish. Whew. All right. So once again, everyone, thanks and have a good night.